A young boy, barely tall enough to reach the golf tee, swinging a club with the precision of a seasoned professional. The world watched in awe as Charlie Woods stepped onto the golf course, his swing so identical to his father's that it sent chills down the spines of golf enthusiasts everywhere. Everyone whispered the same thing: here's the next Tiger Woods. But what if I told you that the story we all believed, the narrative we all bought into, was completely wrong? You see, while millions of people around the world were busy planning Charlie's professional golf career in their minds, something much deeper, much more profound was happening behind the scenes. Something that would challenge everything we thought we knew about legacy, pressure, and what it truly means to forge your own path. For years, we've been fed this beautiful fairy tale. Father and son walking down the fairway together, the torch being passed from one generation to the next. The media ate it up. Golf fans couldn't get enough. Every tournament appearance, every swing, every smile was analyzed, dissected, and turned into proof that Charlie Woods was destined for greatness on the golf course. But here's what nobody saw coming. Charlie had other plans. The truth is, the pressure started early. Imagine being 12 years old and having grown men with cameras following your every move, expecting you to recreate magic that took your father decades to master. Imagine walking into a room and seeing nothing but expectations in people's eyes. Not hope, not encouragement, but pure, unadulterated expectation. That's the world Charlie Woods grew up in. But the breaking point, it wasn't what you think. It wasn't the media pressure. It wasn't the constant comparisons to Tiger. It wasn't even the weight of carrying on a legacy that has redefined an entire sport. No, the real reason Charlie stepped away from competitive golf is so much more human, so much more relatable, and so much more inspiring than any of us could have imagined. Behind those cameras, behind those perfectly orchestrated father-son moments we saw on television, Charlie was having conversations with Tiger that would change both of their lives forever. Conversations about passion versus obligation, about choosing your own path versus walking in someone else's footsteps, about what success really means when you're not the one defining it. You see, Charlie Woods didn't just inherit his father's swing, he inherited his father's intelligence, his analytical mind, his ability to see the bigger picture. And what he saw was a future that looked nothing like what everyone else had planned for him. While the world was busy measuring his drives and analyzing his putting stroke, Charlie was falling in love with something entirely different. The irony is beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time. Here's a kid who had access to the best golf instruction in the world, who could have had any door in golf open for him, who had a father willing to share every secret of one of the most successful careers in sports history. And yet, what Charlie wanted most was the one thing Tiger couldn't give him: the freedom to be completely, authentically himself. The conversations between father and son became deeper, more philosophical. Tiger, who had spent his entire life under the microscope, who had sacrificed everything for golf greatness, began to see his son's struggle not as defiance, but as wisdom. Charlie was choosing to define success on his own terms, something Tiger himself had never had the luxury of doing. And then came the moment that changed everything. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a big announcement or a press conference. It was a quiet conversation between a father and son, where Charlie looked Tiger in the eyes and said something that would redefine what courage looks like in the Woods family. The real reason Charlie left competitive golf isn't about rebellion or lack of talent or even pressure. It's about a young man who realized that the greatest tribute he could pay to his father's legacy wasn't to copy it, but to have the same courage Tiger had, the courage to pursue excellence, just in a completely different arena. What Charlie discovered about himself during those years on the golf course wasn't that he couldn't handle the pressure or that he wasn't good enough. What he discovered was that his passion lay elsewhere, and that pursuing that passion with the same intensity and dedication that Tiger brought to golf was actually the most fitting tribute to the Woods family legacy. The beautiful part of this story isn't the ending, it's the beginning. Because while the world was mourning the loss of the next great golfer, They were completely missing the emergence of something potentially even more spectacular. Charlie Woods wasn't stepping away from greatness, he was stepping toward it, just in a direction nobody saw coming. And Tiger? The man who had built his entire identity around golf, who had taught the world that winning was everything, found himself learning the most important lesson of his life from his own son, that sometimes the greatest victory is having the courage to write your own story, even when the whole world has already written it for you. This isn't just a story about golf, or even about the Woods family. This is a story about every young person who has ever felt the weight of other people's expectations, who has ever had to choose between what's expected and what's authentic, who has ever had to disappoint people in order to discover themselves. So, the next time you see Charlie Woods, don't mourn the golfer that could have been. Celebrate the young man who had the wisdom to know that greatness comes in many forms, and the courage to chase the form that was truly his own.